right now. You're watching Wave 3 News.
Our mission has now changed.
Everybody's entitled to that perspective.
We don't want you here.
Protesters flood downtown Louisville, police on heightened alert, but the clashing points of view stayed just that. No violence, no problems, no arrests. We have full coverage of the protest that was passionate, but ended in peace. There were concerns yesterday after a group called the 3 Percenters told police they were coming and were bringing guns. The group and Occupy ICE, who've been camping out for days, both vowed they didn't want violence, and they kept their word. The 3 Percenters even kicking out people associated with the KKK. You can see here all of the roads that were shut down in anticipation of the large groups. Wave 3 News reporter Mike Fussell was in the middle of it all.
Guns were brought to both sides of the protest, but things remained relatively peaceful.
Divided by Magazine Street, protesters met face to face, barricades up, police on roofs, watching it all unfold. Occupy ICE demonstrators who want that federal agency to be abolished have been camped outside of its local building on 7th Street since Monday.
They are a police force that answers directly to the president, and they go after whoever the president says.
And continue to protest federal immigration policies Saturday.
We've been here since Monday at 6 in the morning. Well, a single violent incident.
Louisville Metro Police hoped that peace would continue as members of a group called the 3 Percenters arrived.
ICE doesn't have to go anywhere. You want the families to be together? Deport them all.
The militia organization held a counter-protest in support of federal immigration policies.
ICE and Customs, they're doing nothing more than trying to secure our borders, stop the flood of drugs, of gang members.
At the peak of the protest, the two sides, which both brought guns, chanted back and forth across the barricades.
America first!
Police got involved a couple of times here when members of the group, the Honorable Sacred Knights of the Ku Klux Klan, showed up but were yelled at by 3 Percenter protesters.
We don't want you here. No. We support freedom of speech. No. We support freedom. No. Man, get out of here. Man, we don't want you.
Yeah, we support ICE. We're here for the same reason.
We're not here to hate. We are here to preserve American ways.
A man also escorted out of the Occupy ICE side of the protest after a confrontation between people there.
Gotcha, buddy.
Despite these incidents, the primary weapons of the day were words. Sometimes on signs, sometimes shouted. But a meeting, approached with caution by police, turned out to be peaceful after all.
Counter-protesting began at around 9 o'clock. It lasted for about 3.5 hours out here before crowds started to dissipate. In Louisville, Mike Fussell, Wave 3 News.
The Occupy ICE group has vowed to remain in protest until ICE is abolished. The 3 Percenters said they were leaving after today's protest.
New here on Midday, Occupy ICE protesters have returned to Louisville after leaving their downtown camp last week. This morning, protesters gathered inside the lobby of the Hayburn building, which houses the Louisville Immigration Court. That's where we begin our team coverage. Mike Fussell is there with the very latest. Mike, we heard at one point they were blocking some entryways.
Yeah, that's right. And earlier they posted that they would be here doing this, and they posted again when they were inside. But if you take a look here behind me, you'll see there's still a lot of police activity here. They're lined up through the alley. There's a prisoner transport unit back there, so we're waiting to see if there would be any arrests here. But again, protesters posted showing they made a human chain blocking off the elevators in the Hayburn building. The reason they say they're here is to block access to the immigration court in an upper floor of the building. Now, earlier protesters posted this Facebook Live video. Organizers say this is in response to a federal deadline that's today for families to be reunited at the border, and they say that's not happening. LMPD says this is a private building, and we talked to some folks who were actually headed to the immigration court today. They couldn't get in, and they were not related to the protest. They said they're concerned about missing their day in court, though. And we'll keep you updated as this situation unfolds here. We'll tell you if there's any arrests, and we'll be watching this area at the back of the building here. And Wave 3 News reporter Caitlin Rust has been following this story all morning as well. Caitlin's at another part of the city where protesters are at as well. Caitlin, what's going on where you're at?
New on midday, Occupy ICE protesters have returned to Louisville after leaving their downtown camp last week. This morning, protesters inside the lobby of the Hayburn building, which houses the Louisville Immigration Court. That's where we continue our team coverage. Mike Fussell is there with the very latest information. Mike, has there been any sort of movement out there?
Yeah, in the past half an hour or so, we've seen a couple of things happen. First and foremost, we've been watching a police prisoner transport vehicle over there in the corner. The police have moved it to an area where we can't see it too well, but we believe it's close to a door. Actually, if you take a look right now, it looks like that officer was holding what appeared to be was chaining those folks together earlier. Did see firefighters go into the building with bolt cutters, but again, Occupy ICE protesters showing they made a human chain blocking off elevators in the Hayburn building earlier. That was on a Facebook Live.
Now, you're watching Wave 3 News.
A very public disturbance in a downtown Louisville office building as Occupy ICE protesters chained themselves together to block elevators. This prompted a big response from Louisville Metro Police, arresting 9 people as of this hour for barricading the entrance to Immigration Court. Thanks for joining us. I'm Shannon Kogan.
And I'm Scott Reynolds. Wave 3 News reporter Mike Fussell joining us live from outside the Mazzoli Federal Building, where Occupy ICE demonstrators are set up tonight. And now police are telling them, Mike, that they have to break down their camp.
Yeah, that's right. At about a little bit after 4 o'clock, they were given this notice here. This is a notice that reads out the camping ordinance here. And as you can see, police are starting to put up these barricades. They have an hour to get in compliance with this notice here. And I'm told by different folks at the police department that means they have to clean up camping gear. They don't necessarily have to leave. They just have to get in compliance with this notice. But as you see, those barricades going up, this all following that protest earlier today. Bonded together in a human chain, a massive police response as Occupy ICE protesters block elevators in the Hayburn building. This at 4th and Broadway in downtown Louisville.
I got off the bus and I seen all the cops. I didn't know what was going on until I walked in the building and they getting it on.
Occupy ICE organizers, now set up at a second camp, say they demonstrated at the building because of an immigration court they say at times orders deportations inside.
We're here to stop that. We want to make sure absolutely no court dates are fulfilled today and to shut down the entire immigration court.
And they did just that, at least for a little while. A man who told us his name was Gonzalez says he was headed to court Thursday to seek citizenship.
Because I'm trying to be, legally here.
Now, he says he's unsure he'll have his day in court.
We didn't know yet if we're going to have the court or not.
As police were seen leaving the building with what appeared to be what was linking the protesters together, others were upset because of the inconvenience this caused during their day.
Whatever's going on down here, it needs to be stopped.
Kim Spencer says she showed up for a doctor's appointment in the building, but was told she couldn't come inside.
Now what kind of stuff is it? I got a doctor appointment.
Eventually, people were taken out of the building. As you can see here, at least one restrained in zip ties. Firefighters with bolt cutters walking out right around the same time.
Power to the people!
A number of voices yelling anti-ICE chants from inside an LMPD prisoner transport, still audible to those on the street.
Power to the people!
A noise protesters say you might be hearing for a while.
We're here to make sure that ICE is abolished, and we're going to stay out here as long as it takes.
And just a few minutes here, we'll be hitting that 1 hour mark that protesters here have to get in compliance. We'll be here. We'll let you know what happens. But for now, live in downtown Louisville, Mike Fussell, Wave 3 News.
Occupy ICE protesters chained themselves together in a downtown Louisville office building today to make a statement against federal immigration policies. LMPD officers moved in as the demonstrators blocked the entrance to Immigration Court, and they made 9 arrests. And now the Occupy group, who's camping at a second location in front of Mazzoli Federal Building, has been handed a new comply ordinance. And Wave 3 News reporter Mike Fussell is live downtown with more on this developing situation to tell us what's happening.
Yeah, that's right. They were given that ordinance. That was over an hour ago. They're still working on cleaning up different camping supplies. It's a camping ordinance, and as you can see here, they have to clear their tents. They have to clear other items, and police are still out here.